Welcome to Parallel Leaders. Every week, we come alongside you and focus on 8 growth points to address the obstacles holding you back. Not only do you need to grow as a leader, but your team, your systems, your numbers, your finances, the expectations, the facilities, and your culture must grow. If you target and evaluate your organization, leadership, or department under the microscope of these 8 growth points, you will optimize your effectiveness as a leader. And today's podcast is all about equipping you with the tools and conversations you need to move forward. So let's go.
In this session, I want to talk about 5 ways to guard team culture in times of uncertainty. 5 ways to guard team culture in times of uncertainty. As we've already learned, vision starts with a problem to solve. All right. So a vision, a good vision, every vision has to start with a problem to solve. Without a problem to solve, you're not going to have a passion to solve it and to do it. So every vision, and again, every team, every unit, every department has to have a clear problem that they're called to solve, and that means that every team can have a vision, right? Something that could be, and a passion that it should be. So vision starts with a problem to solve, and a common problem to solve can create unity and will create unity within your team. Okay, a common problem to solve within your team, and the more clear you are, it's going to create unity and a unified purpose. Unity then shapes a healthy culture. Okay, so vision starts with a problem to solve. A common problem to solve can create unity. Unity shapes a healthy culture, and a healthy culture must be guarded. Okay, so again, just kind of a progression. If you can see the progression here, vision starts with a problem to solve. A common problem to solve can create unity. Unity shapes a healthy culture. A healthy culture has to be guarded. It takes effort. And culture is going to happen by default or going to happen by design. And the more clear your problem to solve, the clearer your vision, the clearer the solution, the easier it is to guard that culture. But it's still, even with a clear vision, it still takes effort. It still takes design. It still takes intentionality to guard that culture. And if you're defined culture, what I mean by culture, because there's lots of talk about it, but the easiest way to define what culture is culture simply defined as the way we do things around here. In other words, it's behavior-based. It's not just what we say. It's not just the values we hang on our wall. Culture is simply defined as this is the way we do things around here. So how you guard your culture is you celebrate when someone does it the way we do things around here. You correct it and saying, no, if somebody doesn't, and you say, no, that's not how we do things around here. Whenever you have that statement, or that, you make that statement, celebrate somebody that's doing it the way we do things around here, then you celebrate them and how they do it. And if you need to correct somebody who, you can correct them by simply saying that's not how we do things around here. So again, guarding that culture, it takes intentionality, and there's 5 ways to then guard team culture, especially in times of uncertainty. So number 1, the first way to guard team culture is number 1 is increased trust and transparency. Increased trust and transparency. Without trust, relationships don't work, teams don't work. Trust is vital. It's the super glue, right? So increase trust and transparency. Well, how do we increase trust? Well, we need to be honest about our team's challenges. We need to celebrate what we're doing well, but we need to be honest as well about our team challenges. So when things aren't going the way that we do things around here or aren't quite right, the worst thing we can do as leaders is kind of shove it under the carpet and ignore this something's not going right. If you sense there's uncertainty, if you sense that there's, shakiness, it's always best to address it, be honest about it, and saying, "Hey guys, we're struggling right now. Hey guys, we're not doing this really well right now. We're struggling in this area. We need to again." Just by simply admitting some of your challenges or your struggles, you now are defining a problem that we can solve together. And you see how this kind of builds off of one another. We're struggling in this area. Be honest about it. And when you're honest about it, most of your team is probably already aware, and they just weren't sure if you were. So when you are aware of it and you can share it and you can talk about it and be honest about the team challenges, you are now identifying a problem that then you're inviting your team to come and be a part of the solution. And when you're honest about it, you are building trust and allowing transparency to happen. And all of a sudden you're now can build unity rather than and fight disunity and guard the culture. It's also important when talking about trust and transparency to explain why you are making the decisions you are making, right? So as a leader, when you're making decisions or when you're part of a team, and when I say leader, I'm not just talking about title. If you're a volunteer and you're training somebody, a new volunteer that's come on there, you're leading them. So don't just tell them what to do. Explain why you are doing what you are doing. Explain why you are making the coffee this way. Explain why you greet somebody the way you don't just explain, you'll just stand at the door and greet people. No. This is why we're going to engage. This is why we do what we do, and this is why we don't do what we do. All right. So make sure that you can explain why. This is a way to be more transparent, but it's also a way to earn trust. All right. The second way to guard team culture especially in times of uncertainty, is quadruple communication from leadership. Okay, so quadruple communication from leadership, especially in times of uncertainty. Communication, or quadrupling, just majoring up on communication from leadership is so vital. Over communication is, I don't know if you can over communicate in some cases, especially as a leader. And clearly, I know that there's certain people that talk way too much and there's over communication. I get that. But I think as a leader and on teams, I don't know if you can over communicate vision too much. I don't know if you can over communicate how or why we do things too much. But especially in times of uncertainty, communication has to come up and exponentially come up. If you remember, throughout COVID, I've never done this before. But we sent out emails, we sent out website notices, we gave regular updates from our church, and whenever the government changed something or some rules changed or another period of uncertainty came along through COVID, we upped our level of communication. We just didn't rely on the website to communicate it or just to say it from stage or assume that people are watching. We sent out emails. We put it on social media. We quadrupled the communication. I got more detailed, sending out letters, personal letters, all those kind of stuff, because especially in a time of uncertainty, people need to know what they need to know, and they need to know as clearly as possible what our mission is and how each team member is contributing to it. They need to know in times of uncertainty that we're still on mission, that the mission hasn't changed. They need to know what it is, what we're doing, how we're addressing it, and how each team members to contribute to that. They need to know what our values are and why they matter, right? So they need to know why we are valuing what we're valuing and why it matters. They need to know support for the values and how they come to life, how the values come to life. And then the team also needs to know, especially in times of uncertainty, they need to know the importance of the team members, of themselves as part of the team, but also of the team members around them. And they need to know the importance of each team member and the success, and the importance of how they contribute to the success of our organization. So you need to tell them over again, you're making a big difference. We need you. And you need to celebrate the team around them as well, and saying this is what they're contributing to the success of our organization. And especially in times of uncertainty, because people are looking around, and in times of uncertainty, it can shake culture and it can create a whole bunch of things, because the reason why uncertainty does this more than any other thing is because we have a common problem to solve, and then all of a sudden the problem focuses to the immediate problem or the uncertainty now, and people they tend to silo, or they become more introspective, they become more selfish naturally in this. How's this going to affect me? And so that's in their uncertainty is about how is this going to affect me and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And so they have a lot of questions, very personal questions. And that's why it's so important in those times for the leader to step up and quadruple communication. All right. Third way to guard team culture in times of uncertainty is to recognize team members for living the values. Recognize team members who are living the values. Organizational and peer recognition for team members who are role models of our church's values is invaluable. It's really, really vital that we need to celebrate the wins, right? We need to talk about them. We need to write about them. We need to celebrate them. What you celebrate gets repeated. And so especially in times of uncertainty, it's time to, again, recognize and guard our culture by recognizing and celebrating people who are doing it and doing it the way we do things around here, and modeling, especially modeling, what we want modeled. And so in this way, this is kind of a mantra for me as a leader. Oftentimes I want to catch people doing something right. Right? Sometimes we look at, I'm catching someone doing something wrong. No, I want to catch people doing something right and celebrate it. Find a way to celebrate it. So recognize team members for living the values. Okay. Number 4, the 5th way to guard our team culture in times of uncertainty is to create opportunities for more social connection. Okay. So create opportunities for more social connection. One of the opportunities, or one of the examples of this is what we're doing right now in this moment that we noticed throughout COVID, that when we had to shut down our staff meetings and our team days because we couldn't gather in person, that we went to Zoom. Well, what we noticed when we went to Zoom is that we had higher participation from people that couldn't necessarily make it out in person to our team days before. And so after we're able to gather in person now, that's why we talked as the campus pastors, and we went, hey, what if we shifted some of our team days and did in-person quarterly? And what if we did Zoom? Because we could get more participation. We can get people that can attend these evenings together like this, a team evening like this, and have more social connection with different, another layer of our volunteers who aren't necessarily able to make it out to our events. But also in times of uncertainty, the natural tendency for all of us is to kind of pull back from some of social connections, or pull back from, some of the fun activities, because, well, we've got uncertainty, we've got a problem, we've got a very clear, we're focused on what the problem is. And so when we pull back and we got to get serious and we got to go to work, when what your team actually needs and is more fun, something more informal, something more social. And it also, doing that creates deeper relationships, which then creates more unity, which then guards the culture, right? So a vital part of guarding team culture in times of uncertainty is creating opportunities. The emphasis there is you need to create these. These don't just naturally happen. Okay, especially for us 8s, we don't naturally make these things happen, right? We rely on some others to do that, but we got to create opportunities for more social connection. Number 5, okay, the 5th way to create and to guard team culture in times of uncertainty is to care about people as human beings. I know this sounds like duh. And very intuitive, but reality is especially as task-oriented people, is that we get so focused on the problem that we're called to solve. We get so focused on the solution or the tasks that we are, operating in to solve those problems, that sometimes we start missing the fact that the people that we're serving beside and that we're working beside are real live human beings who have needs, fears, cares, uncertainties, all the rest of it. And so in the midst of all this, we feel the tension, especially as leaders, we feel the tension and the pressure to continue the task and to continue on mission. But we also need to realize that while the mission is important, that the people beside us are invaluable to the mission as well. And so we need to focus on the whole person and their whole person's well-being. And we need to care for the people as human beings. And that means digging into their world. That means, getting to know them. who they are, who their families are, where, what they're worried about, what they're focused on, what they're excited about, is getting to know what they're passionate about, what they're angry about, what they're fearful about, is kind of getting to know the whole person and start caring for the whole person rather than just the contribution that they can make to the problem or to the task, right? Which means we need to actively support our volunteers' well-being. Okay, so if you're a team lead, a department lead, care about your volunteers and the time, and care about their well-being. Get to know their health, their mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. Get to know where they're at. Pay attention to that. Get to know that in certain seasons, if you see there's certain people, I've noticed this, there's certain people that you need to tell them to go home. They won't go home unless you give them permission to go home, and you don't have to be here, and you have to give them, hey, you've been working hard, you should take some time off. There's other people where you have to beg them to come in, and I think we often focus as leaders on those that we have to use cattle prods to get them to do anything. But we also have a whole bunch of people, and we love them. They serve alongside us. But if we're not careful, it's very easy to burn them out, or to work them too hard, or to not care about them. And then all of a sudden we lose some of our most valuable people because we just got focused on the task and we didn't guard them or give them permission. And again, sometimes we're like, well, they should just tell us. And yes, we should be honest as volunteers. They should just tell us. But sometimes, a lot of times, people don't want to let us down. And a lot of times they're passionate about it. And because we've done such a good job of casting the vision of the problem we're called to solve and the solution that we're offering, they're so passionate about it that they don't want to they don't want to do that. And they don't really know that they are burning themselves out, or that they're not taking care of themselves, or that they could benefit from a break. Or sometimes they just, like I said, just need permission to take a break. All right. So 5 ways to guard team culture in times of uncertainty: increase trust and transparency. Number 2, quadruple communication from leadership. Number 3, recognize team members for living the values. Number 4 is create opportunities for more social connection. Number 5, care about people as human beings.
Thank you for listening to the Parallel Leaders podcast. If you're looking for additional resources, tools, and conversations to move your organization forward and capture the hearts of your community, check out parallelleaders.com. And make sure to subscribe to receive each new episode as it's released. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Parallel Leaders. We'll see you next time.